Right. I think for the sake of time, so as we manage our time, we can start. I formally welcome you everyone to our second session. This is our second session of the OLDN membership conversations. And the whole idea is to get members together and share ideas regarding their different areas of practice and exchange ideas. And I'm looking at a situation where in future we need to be critical in terms of the analysis of the conversations. I think Dr. Chijoke understands from an academic point of view, when you make an academic presentation, it has to be critically evaluated. So with time, we need to get to a point where we critically get into conversations regarding whatever presentation is meant as a way of preparing ourselves for presentations that happen outside of the OLDN network. So as a network, we are fostering that collaboration and cooperation with regards to whatever we are doing and sharing the different challenges that we face in practice, and also sharing the new ideas that we come across. If we just join the wave of merely making presentations, it will not take us anywhere as a network. But we need to ensure that the presentations that we engage ourselves in get us somewhere. Our first presentation was the Reimagined Business Performance and KPIs, which was presented by Dr. Dotun. And he covered a number of issues that are pertinent to where we are today. And we need to have more conversations in respect of that. So before we start, we can just have brief conversations regarding our areas of practice. What are the new issues that we are facing, maybe in the next 5 minutes, and then we can proceed. What are the new issues that we are facing, emerging trends in our areas of practice, before we hand over to Mr. Vere? I will start with Dr. Chijoke. Any new trends that are coming up in your area of practice, and how you are managing those new issues, Doc? Dr. Chijoke, your audio is off.
Sorry, what did you? I didn't get your question.
Okay, any new trends that you are facing in your area of practice, probably as a result of what is happening around us today, and how you are managing?
Well, what is actually happening now? More of students are there. Most of the students there. Most students are there at home. Schools are shut down, and most of the teaching I do now is online, and actually online teaching is not the way you teach online is not the same when you are in a face-to-face class. So there's a bit of challenge in that area, and the challenge borders on how to get the student engaged, because you through the online form of teaching and learning, you are not seeing the students face to face, so there's high possibility of students not following what some people may just come online and they are not there. So there's a challenge in terms of how to get students engage and get them motivated to learning. And also, there's also challenge in terms of how do you assess them? How do you assess the student? So teachers have, you know, they don't have they don't have many options in terms of how to actually assess the student. So they are most times I'm left with probably using the multiple choice kind of examination and assessment.
Okay.
And that is also it has its own challenge. It limits the ability of the students to express themselves, and all that. So, but um, we are coping with it. We are finding different ways of trying to adjust and adapt to the situation.
Thank you so much. I think the same issue is also happening with Dr. Preeti. Dr. Preeti, what's your view on that? The challenges that you are facing from India and as a result of the new trends. Dr. Preeti.
Hello, sirs.
Yes, good
So
afternoon.
nice to speak to you all. There are various challenges that are there, particularly with regard to these sudden changes that are happening. We had planned various things on this start of coronavirus. When it started, a little thinking we will be doing it this way and that way, but things changed drastically after some time, using everyone, and so it is having a very big impact on the education sector. We have various people doing various things. In my university, we have started with doing online teaching. It is having its own pros and cons, no doubt. But the problem is, as said by sir, what students take in reality is something that we cannot assess. Based on this, what the government has done is they have put the scheduling of exams still further to September, because the studies online are complete, but how to evaluate, how to really do this program of evaluating these people is a big challenge. And based on that, the exams are being postponed to September. So they are planning to have a small curriculum change, and the way in which they have been putting this out in 3 phases: 30% 30% in the coming years. In the coming year, this is how it has been planned. 30% we would be having online teaching, 30% it would be face-to-face teaching as and when it is possible. Another 30-40% it would be purely skills and possessing of skills by having approach to various organizations. So this is the new methodology that is being proposed. When it would come into existence will be a little point of debate, and it would be a little later in the next academic year. Usually in the higher sector, we start our academics in the month of July. We start the academic year, that is the admissions to the new academic year in July. In August, September, we start the course, and in May are the exams. So till this year, till March, we had our classes. March 15th, then the closure was announced. So from March 15th, we are all closed. Closed in the sense we all work from home. And in various cases, we also go to the university, but students are restricted to no, they cannot come there. And we are having online courses which were being done by us already, which is over. So there are various online courses which were done. We'll meet. We had used Canvas, we had used Moodle. There were various things that we used. So this is how it has happened in my university.
Thank you so much. Quickly, I will take Mr. Emmanuel from the perspective from Botswana. Any challenges, briefly, challenges that you are facing in your industry and how you are resolving or addressing those challenges? Mr. Emmanuel.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right, no, perfect. That's good. The challenge that we are facing actually is as service providers or trainers actually is the same thing like what our Dr. Chijoke and the Dr. Brete they will say. Actually, we are facing a challenge of now adapting to the new norm, where people are now moving, where we are moving from meeting people or clients physically to meeting them, having to meet online as you are doing here each and every day. So it's something that most of our people here, they're not used to it. It's something that, you know, they find it difficult to adapt to. Every day you are trying to reach to them, and then the approach to a problem, I've started to use now the thinking outside the box, where I approach the problems in an unstructured way. I don't structure things, I approach things and then find a way on how people out there they are now approaching it. So I think it's the case of saying people are now disconnected from their true because of this COVID-19. So it's a challenge where you are now trying to bring them back to say this thing, it can pass, it shall pass, it's not here to last. So let's stick to the core purpose of what you want to achieve at the end of the day. So we are trying to see the value of now being innovative and including the use of this digitalized systems that we are now using in our coaching and then the training areas. So basically, those are the problems that we are facing, adapting to the new norm and then now having to bring people to the core areas of their focus now.
Thank you so much. The reason why we need to have these conversations is we need to reach a point where we start doing opinion pieces regarding the issues that are pertinent or that are affecting our operations. So as a network, we need to start adding a voice regarding such areas and how things can be improved. So we'll initiate the opinion pieces, which speaks into some of the critical issues that we are facing in our different areas of practice. So without taking much time, I will move on to today's session, which is a presentation from Dr. Vere. And he will be talking about his book, which is Becoming a Person of Impact. And Mr. Vere, you can share your slide now. All right, so welcome everyone, and over to you, Mr. Vere. You can unmute yourself. Your mic is off. Unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry for apologies for that minor glitch. All the same, thank you so much everybody for making it to this transformative session. Thank you so much, Dr. Noperikwe, for handing over the mic to me. Allow me to first of all introduce myself. My name is Mr. Kudzanai Vere. I'm the founder and director of programs for Transformational Mindset Institute. I'm the chief executive officer at Goodford Enterprises, founder and executive president of Transformational Minds of Premium Business Network International. So my topic today is centered on becoming a person of impact. What we are doing at the moment as members of OLDN is impact, which should not just be exhibited in attending sessions as we are doing, but after we have done all these things, we need to be visible in our areas, in our domains, in our various countries, touching lives and making things happen. Impact means progress, and impact, to become a person of impact, you need to be an inquisitive someone. You need to explore opportunities and become the very best version of yourself. So my presentation is centered along the lines of becoming a person of impact in that sense. So let me just enlarge my slide so that it can become a little bit visible. So I have written 4 books for now, but the first one is Becoming a Person of Impact, the 6-pack approach. Let me just give you a brief background of what inspired me into writing this book, Becoming a Person of Impact. I'm a person born in a family of 10 people, and I happen to be the 6th born. In our family, no one attained a degree then, and I'm one person who always questioned myself why this can be the situation prevailing in our family. So this inquisition and questioning through things and how things happened, and the zeal that was latent in me to become someone who will register a footprint in the marketplace, I slowly begin to become a person who doesn't just accept things as they come. I started building the person that I am today. Back then, that was around 1998 when I was doing my Form 3. I started to become the person that I wanted to be then. But you understand, even if you set your mind on becoming the person that you should be, there are some glitches and hindrances that comes your way that you need to face and make sure that you navigate them through to your point of destination. The first book I've written is this one, Becoming a Person of Impact. So I didn't end on looking at impact as what a person born of God need to be. I draw down 6 critical points of which I thought these are a must-have or are ingredient if a person is to become of impact, if a person is to become a person of influence in their life and the life of others. Because I understand influence is not external. Influence starts with inside, the person you discovering who you should be, discovering your real north in life, discovering your purpose, being the first peg that a person needs to have in order to become a person of impact. The second point of my 6-pack approach to becoming a person of impact is putting order into one's life. Reordering your life is paramount and critical. The third point I'm going to talk about is emerge. The fourth point, or the 4th pack of the 6-pack, is networking. The 5th one being continuous improvement, and I will dwell on the last point, which is transcend. So in the beginning, when God created the earth, and when he narrowed it down to having human beings on earth, he had a statement that he said to every one of you and myself who is speaking today, and everyone who has not managed to be with us. He said a point, let them have dominion. I take it that everyone has ingrained capacity and potential to dominate in whatever spheres that we find ourselves operating in. We were not created to be mediocre performers in the marketplace. The choice is ours to discover the person that you should be and be wired enough in terms of character so that you can tap into what is latent and hidden and tapped in you. I'm moving on to discovering self as my first point of discussion. In a book I've read, Exceptionality Without Relapse, written by Dr. Chinoperekwe, I extracted a quote which I shared here. He said in his book, you need to accept that you are in the wilderness and there is a place somewhere which is better that you can be, which is a very powerful statement. Because in life, I've always told people that question yourself this in this manner, is the person I have developed into the person I am born to become? Because at birth, we are destined for wonders, we are destined to be great people, but our makeup and what we then encounter in our lives at times dismisses the zeal and intentions and purpose that we would have built ourselves into. We would have probably gotten into a lane that should then be transformed into the person that the whole world is waiting for socio-economic transformation. But you need then to come to a point whereby you stand or sit, ask yourself this question: am I being impactful? Am I the best person? Am I the best version of myself? Ask yourself serious questions. It is out of these serious questions that one can emerge, or that the best person that you are born to become can emerge. So the process of discovering yourself, it assists you in really locating where you are in your lifestyle, and where you are in the in your personal development plan. That is, if you have one. But if you don't have today, after the end of this session, it is imperative that one needs to have the personal development life plan. So you need to ask yourself honest questions that calls for honest answers. The reason why we thought to discover ourselves is we lie to ourselves. Some of us, we lie to ourselves that we have arrived and we are comfortable with the mediocrity. We are comfortable with the status quo. We are conforming to the patterns of the world that is surrounding you. That is why we end up enriching the cemetery with a lot of plans that were not actioned, with a lot of ideas that didn't see the light of day. So you need to be honest in terms of how you engage in your self-assessment process. So ask yourself the question, why am I where I am today? This is a powerful question that we need to ask. Some of us might think that we have arrived because probably of the cars that you're driving, the jobs that we are right now. But if you really ask yourself and ask yourself this question with regard to your life purpose, you will discover some gaps that exist, because we are not born on earth to just acquire, to have an acquisitive mind, as said by Dr. Justin Chinoperekwe in one of his books. A lot of people, they think if you acquire a lot of these material resources, then you are okay. There is a higher cause or calling that each and every person needs to have, of impacting generations, of making sure that whatever action and behavior that you are engaging in is benefiting the community over and above yourself. You will see when I get to the last stage of my presentation, transcend, this point can come very clear. The second question that you need to be asking yourself is, what is it that I did to be where I am today? A lot of people play the blame game, blaming parents and circumstances for where you are as a person. The blame shifting game doesn't work in this world whereby people are really amassed with quite a number of tools and information that can better themselves to become the best version of themselves. You need to really challenge the status quo. When I grew up, I used to go to school barefooted, and at times, you know, there are these bags which our mothers used to pack napkins. You know, the napkins, those are these days around we have Pampers, but we have those are clothes that ladies or women wrap around their kids, protecting them from whatever. I used to take that bag on my bag, the napkin bag, barefooted, walking 15 kilometers to school. But all these things, I kept on telling myself that this is not the correct thing that I should be doing. Under normal circumstances, we could have probably putting on shoes and having on a nice satchel, putting my books in there. But all these circumstances and situations that surrounded me gave me the impetus to want to challenge the existing reality. To me, I'm not proud, but I managed to shake off some of these things to be the person that I am today. So you need to ask yourself, what is it? What is the road? What kind of a road did you travel to become the person you are today? The third question that is more critical and important is, what should I start doing now to be where I am supposed to do? You understand, like I said, there are situations, people in your life, probably who have aided in quotes, according to what we say, you're being the person that you are today. But I also speak into that and say, no amount of influence externally can change a wired mindset or a correct mindset, a mindset that has discovered its course. That is very important in life, because when you rely only on external information without your strong conviction and passion from within, you end up living other people's lives. I've seen quite a number of people, they just copy and paste what others are doing, which is a very wrong approach to life. In life, you need to be original, you need to be unique, you need to be yourself. Just look at your fingerprints. If you go to the guys who enforce this law, they take your fingerprints there. They have chosen to use fingerprints on identifying people because of one reason. Everyone has fingerprints that are distinct from the person next door. And so should be how you execute yourself in life. And so should be the area that you definitely have to travel, your area of impact. You can be probably doing the same job. You can be teachers, you can be lecturers at a university. But your lectureship should be different from the professor next door because of this one reason. You are unique. And you are wonderfully and fearfully made by God. So on discovering self, these are three critical questions that one should ask themselves when they decide to get into the becoming a person of impact trajectory. Like I said, when I was starting this, you can think that you are being impactful, and yet you are moving off-road. You are living other people's lives. So in terms of discovering yourself, this is all I had to share on my first point. You definitely need to discover who you are born to become and carve your niche in that area that you're really passionate about.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vere. I will hold you there just to make this a conversation. And I will start with Dr. Doughton. Dr. Doughton, I understand you attended the Use of Self presentation that was hosted by Maureen earlier this week. And Mr. Vere is talking about discovering self. And I think it goes into effective use of self. I need you to comment on that from Dr. Vere's presentation. And I will also pick Jane to then summarize this slide from her understanding. Just 1 minute, Dr. Doughton, then Jane Jerry.
Okay.
Yes, Doc.
Thank you very much, Doctor. It's been an insightful presentation so far. And as rightly mentioned, there's a strong connection between what he is seeing now, or what he's teaching us on now, with what we learned during the Howlo program. That one thing that he mentioned, which I strongly agree with, is that no matter how much the external influence can be, if inside of you, you have actually not changed, or you have not actually accepted to align with that within, the external variables or impact will be insignificant. And just as I already said, that I think it is very much important to understand that self is a unique identity. And that is one of our identifiers that makes us different from other people. So I think Dr. Vere is actually doing justice to this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jane.
Okay, thank you so much as well. Just to emphasize on what he has said, I think it's okay to be very honest with yourself in order to identify yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, whatever decisions you make, whatever anything you do, it's going to be like you're not helping yourself at all. That's why you need to self-assess yourself. That's the key point that I got from there. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand, Madam Tina, I just listened briefly to the podcast that you shared. What's your contribution to that?
Thank you, Dr. Justin. What Vera is saying is actually very correct. It all begins, for me, it all begins in the mind, knowing who you are, not what people say you are. So it's not about the external factors. You have to change from within. If that change doesn't come from within, it would not last.
Thank you. Before I hand over to Mr. Vere, Mr. Zimba, Mr. Vere mentioned that we see a lot of mediocre performers in the marketplace today. Have you ever met any mediocre performers in your field? And what are the characteristics of these mediocre performers? Mr. Vere, you need to share your slide. Mediocre performers, Mr. Zimba.
So yes, thank you, Doc, for that question. Yes, so my take on that one is definitely we do have performers who don't really kind of find themselves wanting to excel beyond a certain limit. So those are the kind of people who look at their salary and say, the work that I've done is in line with what I earn. So these are the kind of thinking, this is the kind of thinking that I see in people who are usually mediocres. They value themselves based on maybe the salary that they earn or the remuneration that they are going to get. So if you look at someone who has been given a task to do, they kind of, what would I say? They change the task that they are going to do based on how much they are going to earn, but they forget that there is a tomorrow. There is you get references from the kind of work that you do today. You might not earn much today, but the reputation that you build today is what is going to get you far tomorrow. So I think it's kind of a limited mindset that usually is within mediocres, that they are short-sighted. They don't see beyond what they are doing now. It's more like a selfish kind of thinking that usually characterizes mediocres. So that is what I would say for now.
Thank you so much. So mediocres being short-sighted and sticking to the status quo. Back to you, Mr. Vere.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinoperekwe. And I had skipped two important points on discovering yourself. Discovering yourself is a process that doesn't have limits. You can start discovering yourself even at this age that I am, even at Dr. Chinoperekwe's age or Dr. Mjegede's age. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be off route and off road. You just have to, what then should lead you to initiate the discovering yourself action is the result of your honest assessment process. The honest assessment feeds in and inform your decision on discovering yourself. Obviously, in life, one might have made mistakes. You have to be honest and admit your mistakes that you have made in life. And be prepared to keep the remains of you and move forward. Don't be shy. For your own information, I've worked as a manager for 18 years. But I really found it in me that this is not my route. This is not the real me. I am leaving a lot of potential untapped. Up to in time, I became restless. And becoming restless is one other point that one should get into someone in order for them to discover themselves. Become restless. I became restless and shook that off me and started all that I've started. That is very important and paramount in discovering yourself, be prepared to leave the shore. It seems you can seem comfortable because then I had a company car, everything, a company house, fuel was put in my tank, that I could not think of anything else. But was that appealing to my calling? No. I had a person who kept crying within me to be exposed. But after having discovered myself, I started influencing people. I started influencing and impacting generations. I'm done with discovering self. Let me just move in the interest of time to the second slide. Yeah. After having discovered yourself, you move on to the second and also important point of reordering one's life. Order is a virtue that lacks in many people. They thrive best in their disorder. But the end result of disorder is predictable and obvious. It is failure. There is no success that is pinned to disorder. You need to be a person of order so that you can be successful in life. No impact comes from a disorderly mind. No impact comes from a disorderly person. So how then do you become a person of order? I've listed quite a number of points that one should actually follow in order to bring a modicum of order in their life. The first one is to identify your life purpose. Like I've just said, I cannot say I wasted because I learned a lot of things along the 20 years that I have been employed and working for companies. There are quite a lot of life lessons I've learned up to until I really discovered my life purpose, that I am born to impact generations. I am born to bring social economic transformation to people. So you need to discover your life purpose. How do you discover your purpose in life? This is a very big question. As you grow, you obviously have this silent, subconscious, and at times conscious thinking and mind that comes into yourself, which I at times call passion. Your purpose aligns well with your passion. What are those things that you like doing the most? And what is the impact of that which you like doing to yourself and others? You know, when we talk of impact, we don't talk of impact in the negative sense. One can then say we do have thieves and robbers there who are so passionate about what they do. A sane person should have conscience, question your actions, and question your purpose. You cannot stand before people and justify your cause in the wrong direction. That's why discovering yourself is paramount and key. You need to discover yourself within conscience and conscious decisions. Decisions that have people in mind, decisions that have places in mind, decisions that have the peace that Dr. Chinoperekwe alluded to in one of his books. The purpose, people, passion. So after having discovered your purpose, you need to obviously to come up with a personal life mission statement. For your own information, I didn't have one. I used to have plenty of these hand in organizations office. It was mandatory at our company that you need to have a mission statement for the company pinned there. Who told you that you cannot have a personal mission statement at personal level? When you have decided to put order in your life, you need to come up with a personal mission statement, a value statement, and a vision. Where do you want to become, and where do you see yourself 20, 30 years from now? I started having all these things after 20 years of service, putting order, straight order in my life. I am one person who has been living in some kind of disorder somehow. It is important and of paramount importance to come up with your plan, because you cannot talk of order when you don't have a plan. Order is meticulously and religiously following an established plan, whose plan you can only have after discovering oneself. So your plan, let me just jump into a tool that we used when we were doing our masters with Dr. Chinoperekwe in some college. I thank that institute because it made us grow to be people who we are today, to become people of impact, because it made us grow holistically as people. There is a tool that was introduced to us, the Wheel of Life. A Wheel of Life is a tool that covers almost all the aspects of one's life. It looks at your personal development, your vocation, your health, your finances. You know, we all understand the wheel, the bicycle wheel with its spokes. So each strand stands for an area of life that you need to plan around. So that is of importance. We have people who get rewards for doing good, probably at work. When their wives are always being butchered day in and day out, they don't even care about their families. But in the end of it, outside there, because our world have devised the methods and systems that partially measure success. We don't have holistic parameters to measure performance and success. That's why we end up rewarding people for partial performance. We reward mediocres instead. So it boils down to order. If you have order, you make sure that every strand of your life is well looked after and planned adequately. So I've spoken about a vision. You need to have a vision as of where you are going and where you see yourself at some particular point in time. So if you fail to plan, obviously there is this statement that planning to fail is failing to plan is planning to fail. One other critical and most important thing in bringing order to your life is setting goals. Goals are so important in life because these are the benchmarks that will then inform you whether you have attained whatever that you have set for your life. You have a 5 to 10 year personal development plan, a plan that you need to follow through as a person, a plan that you need to religiously follow. I recall when we were still at our master's level, I couldn't come up with a very good plan. I had to copy Dr. Justice Chinoperekwe because he was good at coming up with this plan. But one other important aspect is you need to religiously follow your plan. A plan is as good as its executor. There are quite a number of plans that lies untapped even up to now. I recall Dr. Chinoperekwe spoke about his doctorate program when we were still at the midst of our masters, but he did religiously follow that. It shows that a person has order in their life. Because if you are of disorder, you even fail to know and see where you have located this other point or factor that you need to be considering as important in your life. As you try to put order in your life, you need to be responsible. Don't blame shift. People of disorder, they are not accountable for their actions. Their fingers are good at pointing at others. So I've done justice to my reorder your life point here. It's open for discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vere. I will ask Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel wrote a book about Own Every Step. And I think in owning every step, there is an element of reordering your life. So just 1 minute, Mr. Emmanuel, and then you spoke about the Wheel of Life. I also heard about it in Tina's presentation where she was talking about faith, family, and the other points. I will ask her to also comment on that and anyone else who wants to add to reordering your life. I will start with Emmanuel.
Oh.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. That's great. Great point here by Mr. Vere. Reorder your life is something that I always say to people that there's no how you can perform at your personal best level if you can't master yourself first. So life is all about mastery. Mastery comes when you order your life or when you put things in order. When you put yourself in order, everything else start to take care of itself. So you're going to be surprised that today as individuals, we are focusing much on the external things, the things that makes people see us who we are. But the reality of the thing of who we are is gathered within us. And then if we are to find ourselves the true reason why we are here, we need to start by putting our lives first in order. When you put your life in order, first you are saying you accept that at one point in your life you've made mistakes. At one point in your life you have failed. At one point in your life you have disappointed yourself. But you take the stand in owning those mistakes, in owning those failures, to say, I can now turn things around, and then turn the bad things into the good, turn the good into the best. That's how you put your life in order. So I like the point where he said disorder is a state that some strive best in, but in the end, the result is obvious, and it's obviously a failure. So at times, it's not like we are failing, or it's not like we cannot do certain things. We only encounter failure only when our lives, because our lives personally is not in order. We don't know which steps, which things to give attention to. We don't know the things that we need to give the least priorities. So ordering our lives together brings us a clear vision of where we are going, clarity of the goals that we want to reach, and the clarity of purpose. That's what I can relate what I wrote in my book with this point here, reorder your life. So it brings you to clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, and then where you are going from where you are today. So that's my take on this point.
Clarity of purpose and clarity of vision. Madam Tina, the wheel of life. I understand you use the 5F to explain that.
Thank you, Dr. Justin. Yeah, the wheel of life, we all know what the wheel of life is. The areas of life where we really need to grow. But I like to work with it in what I call the 5Fs. So your faith, your spirituality, your oneness with God, your family and friends, your primary relationship with your spouse, your children, those who are important in your life. What time do you create for them? How present are you when they need you? And then the third one is your finances. I mean, we all must order our finances. Think of your children's future, think of your investment, think of your retirement, and everything that pertains to finance. And then the fourth F is fitness, health, wellness. In this age and time with so much technology and all that is going around, and it also comes with a lot of people in their middle ages getting sick, getting terminal illnesses and all of that. So it's important that we take in wellness into our life to actually help us to grow and live fully in life. And then the last F is what I call flourish, which is what we're all doing here. How are you growing in your personal life? How are you growing daily? What are you investing in yourself? We still have a lot of people who are of the mindset or thought process thinking that, you know, after I've done maybe the first degree, after I've finished school, that's all there is to learning or education. But you come to understand that learning never ends until you leave this world. So we're continually learning. So how much are you investing in your own personal growth? All of these aspects of life actually help us to find who we are, find meaning in our life, and truly live our purpose in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else with a contribution before we go back to Mr. Vere? All right, Mr. Vere. Back to you, Mr. Vere.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc, and thank you so much, Tina and company for the comments anyway. So I'm moving on to my third peg, which is emerge. What you also need to know is a farmer is not someone who is known for standing on the pulpit preaching farming to friends. A farmer is actually someone who gets out of his blankets and be on the farm doing things. So after having put your life to order, don't waste time, emerge. To emerge is to move out of or away from something and become visible. Let me ask this question to everyone listening. Are you visible in the marketplace? How many people know you outside there? And for what reason? So having wired yourself and your mind correctly, armed with the right mental attitude, putting on new lenses with a different and enlightened worldview, emerge. So this stage is all about displaying the brand you and all its accessories to the marketplace. You have to know that the mind can be a renowned, laborious factor of ideas, concepts, schemes, strategies, and philosophies. But until these are put to use for the benefit of self and mankind, all can be decimated to naught. It is paramount that after having gone through the first two packs I have alluded to, you don't need to remain or to keep sealed in yourself. Show yourself out. Be visible. Don't be an excellent reserved person. Instead, imagine be visible and be heard. Would we have computers if it were not about Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace, who conceptualized in their mind and began developing the different engines and sizes of computers that we now have? So you need to actually make sure that all that is in you, all that we are loaded with, is visible outside and it's benefiting people. So those who eventually change the world are those who stand up, shake off negativity, and take it upon themselves to make painful sacrifices and venture into uncharted territories to do that which they really feel within themselves that they are born to be doing, that they are passionate about. So like I said, farming, mining, whatever profession, lectureship is something that is done. It can be in thinking, processing, and synthesizing ideologies, philosophies, but it has to be dispatched. People should know you lecture science. They can only know that you lecture in science, you lecture in entrepreneurship. When you actually move out of yourself and be visible and dispatch, be found to be doing it so that it benefits others. Just like, a seed. When you plant a seed, if it chooses to stay beneath or underneath the ground, it's useless. It needs to emerge and be visible and bear fruits. But there is a condition. A seed can only emerge from the ground when it has all the necessary conditions for it to emerge. So there can be a person who is lying within you untapped today because it lacks the necessary conditions that you should provide as a person. The first and second condition is to discover yourself. The second condition is to put your life in order. After that, you need to at some point emerge. What I did in order for me to emerge the person that I am today speaking to you, I had to quit certain habits, quit certain employments, quit certain friends who used to tie me down. Once you have identified your life purpose, at times before doing that, you wouldn't be able to see that this is a hindrance in my life. I've told a lot of people that are the people that you wine and dine with, helping you to become the best version of yourself. If not, format format all your contacts, delete everyone, start anew, because every connection of yours should help, not hinder you to be the person that you need to become in life. So in emergency, that's where you show your real self, your prowess. Execution is of paramount importance in emerging, because emergency is doing things. You cannot emerge in self. Emergency is making that which is laden and loaded within, exposed into the marketplace. That's image for you.
I will throw this to Dr. Preeti and Samuel. A farmer is not on the pulpit preaching farming, but what we see today with most professionals, they call themselves farmers, but they are only preaching about farming in the pulpit. They call themselves marketers, but they are only preaching marketing in the pulpit. And Mr. Vere is saying we need to display the brand that we represent. We don't need to be excellent, reserved persons. I'll start with Samuel. What's your take on that? Emerging or making real impact in that respect, Samuel?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is Samuel Osho. And I believe that making impact has to do with you being a person of practice. If you are not practicing, then there's nothing as saying that you have emerged, because practicing makes you build experience. And what happens is, if you don't practice, there's no way you can build experience. So it's all about being practical, about approaches in solving problems. For me, I believe that that is where Africa lost focus, because in Africa, we have a lot of politicians who are full-time politicians. I don't see politics as a full-time occupation. It's not a career to me. And that is why you will see that Africa is not developing, because we focused more on politics as a job. We have political jobbers here and there. And also in the professional space, it is rubbing off on the professional space, whereby technocrats are not given the opportunity to express themselves. We see people doing so much in their own companies to just employ people based on their tribes, on their relationship or affiliations to maybe the organization's head or the organization's owner. So it rubs off on performance. So when you don't have the best hands, definitely you are bound to lose value as an organization. So that is what I see. When you don't practice, there is no way you can emerge. We have so many medical doctors that are in politics today that are not doing what they are supposed to do, and it's resulting in brain drain. So the emergence of a new Africa starts with people practicing what they have actually learned in school or by professional affiliations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Practicing gives experience. So we don't need to see more farmers just doing the preaching of farming.
Exactly.
But people have to practice what they preach. Dr. Preeti.
Exactly.
Yes, Dr. Preeti. I think we have a network problem there. We'll get back to you, Mr. Vere. Over to you because of time. Yes, Mr. Vere is not there. Dr. Dotun, any comment on that?
Well, there's something that's actually I'm brainstorming around here, and I'm trying to see how do we separate. There are personality issues here. For example, those who are in the R&D are by nature and calling reserved. R&Ds don't necessarily need to have those visibilities. And how do we manage that so that, because you talk about excellence in reservation, so how do we manage that? And again, you look at this social media platform. Does everybody coming to gain visibilities on the social platform, does that necessarily represent that they are doing well? So how do we manage this gap? I give an example. The CEO of Chevron hardly has up to 2,000 followers on the LinkedIn, and you see somebody who is just a noisemaker has over 50,000 followers on the LinkedIn. Now, does it mean because he has 50,000 followers on the LinkedIn, does it mean he's adding more value than the CEO of Chevron who has less than 2,000, but somewhere else in his critical role, he's adding value? I want us to balance that. Again, while we are trying to promote institutional values, how do we ensure that individuals' recognitions don't rub off on corporate or institutional values? And finally, take a look at countries like Japan, like Taiwan, like Singapore. These countries are by nature reserved. They are very conservative. You don't see them talking so much. They are not so lousy and so noisy. But the world knows them. We know who they are. We know how valuable they are to the global economy. So I want Dr. Vere to actually shed more light on this so that we don't lose the track of managing visibilities at the expense of managing competencies. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good example that Dr. Dotan is giving. I don't know if Dr. Preeti is okay now to speak. Dr. Preeti, can you hear us? I guess not yet. So the issue is now we have a lot of people, Dr. Vere, that's what Dr. Dotan is saying. We have people who have 50,000 followers on social media platforms because they are gaining visibility through certain means. And we have a CEO of Chevrolet who has only 2,000 followers on social media platform. What's your explanation? What can be done for people to really appreciate value rather than this social facilitation that we see more often?
Let me just give you my example as a case study. So let me just give you my example at personal level. There is a difference between, you can have a lot of followers, and I also use my TT as an example. Some might not know her, but let me just use myself as an example. There is a difference between followership. There is followership on this end, and there is business on the other end. We have people who have quite a number of followership on social media, but they don't have the mental disposition to transform or to translate that followership into business. Having a number, 20,000, 40,000 followers doesn't make any sense. What are they following? And is the followership beneficial anyhow? Dr. Dota asked a very good question that you can have 2,000 followers, but making big business out of them. You should be in a position or possess the ability, the conversion ability to convert your followers into business. Let me use my example like a problem. I started doing entrepreneurship conversations online. I have more than 2,800 followers on my WhatsApp groups on entrepreneurship and personal development. How did I come about? I started writing articles that appeals to personal development issues, articles that appeals to entrepreneurship issues. By so doing, people really, one would even come to my inbox, thank you so much for a transformational article. How can I move from where I am as a business or where I am as a person to become the person I should be? So in order for you to get value, this is paramount. In order for you to get value, give out value. Once you give out value, you receive value in turn. Midway, I then started to introduce entrepreneurship masterclasses, entrepreneurship sessions, and personal development sessions, to which I'm getting overwhelming responses. You have heard Dr. Chinoperekwe saying, how was your class? Out of all these postings, all this followership on Facebook and WhatsApp, people are now enrolling for practical competence courses. In my last class, I had 3 people from South Africa and 1 from Zambia, and the rest from Zimbabwe. I'm talking about conversion efficiency, converting your followership into business. I hope Dr. has answered.
Thank you. You can proceed. We have about 21 minutes left.
Let me move on. Let me just dwell on networking. I've got a quote. You are good as a person, but you can be better through networking. All the challenges that we are facing today as people, the solution to it are 2-3 people away from us. I always tell people you need to make your people factor right. You have your people factor right. Who are you connected to and for what reasons? You don't just network for the sake of amassing contacts in your phone, in your phone book. You have to network for a purpose. Purposeful connections are meaningful. Let me just use this this network, for example, the Organization Leadership Networking. It has a mandate. It has got a drive. It has got a mission. It has got a vision. Don't just jump into networks. I've seen quite a number of people jump into my groups. Then they quickly post an irrelevant post that goes against what we are intending to do in those networks, which becomes very wrong. It speaks into the order, it speaks into the mental capacity, it speaks into that person's mind. You don't just jump into things. I've also asked quite a number of guys saying, in fact, I once had that scenario whereby my phone book was full. I'm speaking about networks. My phone book was full. The memory in terms of saving phone numbers was full. Then I had to scroll down and I had some numbers of people, some who have already gone past, dead people, but still in my phone book list. And then I'm challenging every one of you that if your networks are not benefiting you, or if they are not pushing you to be a better person, if you are not extracting value within your networks, you would rather prune them. Have a lean network that is essential to your cause. By so doing, I've spoken about the quality of networks. You can quickly develop and become a person who is so much aligned to those that you wine and dine with every day. They somehow, if you're not very careful, determine who will become in life. When I thought of this, I then decided to network with people of value, network with people who challenge me, network with people who are a shoulder above me, network with people who pushes you always to be on your toes. So the quality of your network matters. So I've come with 3 basic types of networks that I'll briefly talk about before I move to the 5th point. We do have what you call social networking. These are our social networks, networks that are intended to appeal to your social person. Are they of value to a person or not? Yes, they are of value because you need to have a social life. You need to have people who then, if you are low in your mind and spirit, who awaken that spirit up. They are important anyway. I move on to professional networking. We do have a network of practitioners, organization leadership practitioners like CODE or OLDN. It's a network of professionals who are aligned because of the similar cause that they are appealing to. You can have a network of chartered accountants. You can have a network of farmers. That appeals to my third line, business networking. Professional networking, it appeals to a profession. Business networking is a networking that appeals to a certain business line. You are farmers, so you need to align yourself with a network of farmers. Once you align yourself with a network that is similar to your line of business, you are bound to be learning more and benefiting from those people. On that front, I have an organization that I started in 2017, Premium Business Network International. You can check it on Facebook. It is a network, a business network whose sole mandate is to network all economic players, regardless of sector, for their mutual benefit. Those are business networks. They should be meant to better your business front. They are meant to enrich you in terms of your business acumen. I'm done on networking.
Yes, you can proceed. Then I saw one hand up. I'll come to that after you have finished because of time.
Okay, good. On continuous improvement, don't allow yourself as a person to go back to bed with the same ignorance that you woke up with. Let me repeat this. Don't allow yourself to go back to bed with the same ignorance that you woke up with. One might ask, I didn't wake up ignorant this morning. You were ignorant in some facet. There are some areas that you were supposed to have learned, new areas in your life, or that you didn't expose yourself to. If on continuous improvement, I really, this is an area that when I start talking about it, my blood pressure increases. Once you stop developing your mental faculties, don't ever think that you remain where you were before you stopped growing. You start to diminish. You start dying mentally. So you need to have an inquisitive mindset. Question through things. Don't accept things as they are. You know, in Zimbabwe, we had bus companies that failed to improve. There were these old DAF buses. They were in their time. But there came the Marco Polos, and this time around, there are some new forms of buses. But they remain stuck with the old machines that used to perform better during their times, but that then became irrelevant during our times. So if you fail to improve, you start to die slowly. I'm glad in Zimbabwe there is a soap or types of soaps that came extinct in the marketplace. We had Image soap and Big Ben soap. These were soaps that used to appeal to the market before the influx of the current bright lights and etc. They died for a season, but because probably they employed a new CEO who then recollected, who went down the files and found that we had these brands which used to shine in the marketplace. And what lagged within those brands is continuous improvement. So continuous improvement is necessary. Okay, let me just say this. In continuous improvement, you are adjusting to the dictates of the market and even being ahead of the trends. If you don't improve, you become irrelevant, you become defunct. So you need to be continuously bombarding ourselves with new information that is in line with our areas of expertise or with our areas of focus, so that we become better people in those areas. Done on continuous improvement.
Yes, proceed.
Allow me to move on to the last slide. My last slide, or my 60th page in my book, is transcend. To transcend is to go beyond certain limits. The word transcend has the prefix trans, which means to go across. You can only reach these levels in life when you have successfully managed to challenge the status quo and managed to transform self into a very big machine. I've got big examples of people who have gone beyond this. We are in Zimbabwe, we do have the Strive Masiwas of this world. We also have the Bill Gates and quite a few number of guys who have gone beyond what the ordinary mind thought of. The beauty of this stage, of this level, is you are moving from success to significance. If you image, you continuously improve, your mind and focus is on probably improving yourself and your business. But at this transcend level, you are now focusing on other people's lives. You are now focusing on generations to come. You are now focusing on giving back to the community. You are now just like eagles on this front. You know, eagles up there, they don't compete with chickens. They are in a class of their own. There is less competition up there. But the beauty of this stage now is, once you focus on developing and improving others, it's like magic. Subsequently, your business and anything that you lay hand on improves. Because taking for Zimbabwe, for instance, Strive Masiwa is donating quite a number of gadgets towards COVID-19. One would want to align or to put their dollar on the person who supports the humanity, who supports the cause at hand. So naturally, it's a level that a lot of people should aspire to be. And once most of us reach this level, you'll find out that the world will be a better place to live because the ego in you would have died. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Vere, for that presentation. We serve, or we are united by the field of organization development and leadership. And it's a field that believes in continuous improvement. It's a field that believes in change management. It's a field that believes in collaboration and inquiry. And it's a field that believes in diversity and inclusion, which is part of the transcend aspect. So the entire discussion this afternoon covers fundamental issues that unite us. In our different professions, as Mr. Samuel has indicated, we need to demonstrate practice. We need to continuously improve ourselves. We need to transcend and go beyond the normal ways of doing things. If we are to set ourselves apart in our different fields of practice, we need to have that mindset that says, I have to transcend and go beyond the normal areas of work. And this shifts us from becoming mediocre practitioners. This shifts us from becoming mediocre scholars or mediocre entrepreneurs and business people. So becoming a person of impact is fundamental and applies to all of us. And we need to be guided by these fundamental values. I will start this conversation as we close. We have 9 minutes. I will start with Rotimi. Your input, Rotimi Emmanuel. Your input on this discussion from Mr. Vere. Rotimi Emmanuel. I see the mic is off. Tabani, I saw your hand up. Oh, Rotimi is there. Rotimi.
Actually, are you hearing me now?
Yes, sure.
Okay. It's all what has been said since, though I joined a little bit late. But all has been said is actually what we actually need to leave an impact, make an impact in whatever we are doing. Fine, to transcend means you're going to go out of the box. You need to change some things about your thinking, how you just need to think beyond just the ordinary, and you start moving. You need to imbibe some values, because most of us, we used to live with the old values, and in this era, there are a lot of things needs to be changed. So there's a lot of things I've really gained from all this meeting this afternoon, and I'm going to really work on it in my personal life and even the work I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Making an impact. It's something that is talked about by almost all motivational speakers, but we rarely see the impact on the ground. So we need to question ourselves and be inquisitive, as Mr. Vere has indicated. Are we really making an impact, or we are just going through the motions of life and thinking that we are doing something that is meaningful, yet in actual fact, nothing of value is happening? Mr. Tabani.
Okay, thank you, Dr. J. I want to add on the question that was raised by Dr. Dotan on the followers. He mentioned that the Chevron CEO has got about 2,000 followers, and other social media personalities, they've got more than 40,000. I think and believe all of us, we are brands. As brands, we appeal to different markets, we appeal to different audiences. So, as we appeal to different markets and audience, this Chevron CEO has got about 2,000 followers. If you look the quality of personnel, the personnel are also in the same league with the CEO. Well, it's different. For example, Mr. Vere gave an example of my teaching on the social media, my teaching on the Zimbabwean side. My TT is a brand, a good brand on the advertising industry in Zimbabwe. He has made a name for himself in the media industry. That's why most companies now they're engaging my TT as the brand ambassador. And companies are using my TT as a way to reach to the target audiences. So my TT on her side is doing well as an individual person, at the same time is a big brand in Zimbabwe.
Okay, coming to that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There are certain individuals who have degrees in marketing, certain individuals who have PhDs in marketing, but they are not as visible as this person. And Mr. Vere is saying we do not need to be mediocre. So we saw a lot of mediocre marketers. They just pride themselves in having marketing degrees. But in terms of practice, they ain't doing anything. And here comes, I don't know if she has a marketing degree or a marketing qualification, which I don't think she has. And she's making an impact better than those people with marketing degrees. You work in an organization as a marketing person, and this person is outsourced from outside as a brand ambassador. So the question is, what are you doing inside your company? Most people, when they are there in the organizations, they ain't doing nothing. So much such that they are not in a position to be taken as brand ambassadors. And we get these social media influencers taking up these particular positions. So it's something that comes with the way we teach students in our academic institutions, which does not emphasize practice. And social media influencers are taking up the market. And these people with marketing degrees ain't doing anything. That's my perspective on that.
Okay.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Yes, because of time, we have only 4 minutes. Andrew, any contribution? I think the mic is off. Who else has not said anything? Yes, Grace. Your mic, can you turn on your mic? The mic is off. Dr. Doughton, any contribution as we close?
Okay, once again, thank you very much, Dr. Vere. And this is a mind-blowing session for me because I've learned so many things here. And there's the last slide, even though time was not our side, you couldn't detail so much, but that is one area that I would have actually wanted you to talk so much about. That is transcend. But maybe some other time in private conversation, I would like to ask more questions because time is fast spent. So let me just allow other people to comment. But I've actually learned so much. I think for Dr. Justin, I think we might be compelling attendance of members in some of this program, because if we are not having substantial number of members attending this kind of programs, I think this is great injustice. And that is not how we intend to advance the cause of this network. Because I can categorically say that I can plug more than 20 people that I have not seen in several programs that we've been running. So if they are missing from here, then I don't know what we are actually learning. Because this kind of program should not be missed. And we will not want to be forwarding recorded version. Is to listen to it live. Yes, there are exemptions when you absent yourself, but missing many of these programs will not do you any good. So that's what I want to say, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I saw a hand up from Samuel. Yes, Samuel.
Hello,
yes.
everyone.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Based on what you just mentioned now, I probably would like to say that people can send in their permission if you want. They have sent.
the class or from the session, you should be able to send in an excuse. Then for those that are being managed, okay, for instance, there is the case of somebody on social media. I know him very well, Dr. Joaba. I believe Dr. Dotun Jegede can bear witness to that. Dr. Joaba happens to be one of the few strategists we have in Nigeria. He's a law doctor of law. But he has been able to carve a niche for himself on Twitter, and he has a verified Twitter account. So what I discover about him is that he's the one that personally tweets. He makes his tweets by himself. He doesn't give a media person, a social media influencer, to tweet for him. So he has proven himself to be an authority. He even mentioned a particular tweet. He had to do a thread on how to leverage on being an international figure, that is working for the likes of WTO, for WHO, UNICEF, and the likes. So he was able to point out all those things. But for so many people in politics, we see that people handle their Twitters and Twitter accounts, and we see that you'll be surprised that what they are doing, their body language, physically, when you see them on news, doesn't correspond to what is actually on tweets, even to the extent of a president. So you find it funny that there is a disconnect between the social media space and the physical space, the reality of what goes on within their jurisdiction. And it also must not affect, it must not come to professionals like us. We should be able to handle our personal brands, because we are all brands. We should be able to handle our personal brands on social media and out of social media. That's my submission.
Thank you. Handling our personal brands, it's something that a lot of professionals really need to work on as we grow in our different areas of practice. Dr. Preeti, is your audio okay now? I think she's still having challenges. Anyone else with a point before we hand over to Mr. Vere to close? All right, Mr. Vere, your closing remarks.
My closing remarks today are: you should become the best version of yourself. You are created to become a person of impact, to register your footprint on the planet Earth before you expire. There is no any other time than today to kickstart your journey. One might have thought, and you might have been thinking that you have arrived. But I'm telling you, there is more to be done by the person you than all that you have managed to achieve, especially on the impact front. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Right, thank you so much, everyone. The question now is, what are we going to do next? We're now living in an information age, and there's too much information overload. There are webinars happening every day. The key question is, are we practicing whatever we are taking from these different webinars? And the whole essence of these conversations is for us to make an impact in our different professions and to be of value in our different professions. The Organization Leadership and Development Network seeks to ignite insightful conversations. So Mr. Vere has made a presentation. It's now up to us to take these 6 approaches, apply them in our different professions, and start making real impact. I always talk about motivational speakers. I always talk about people who speak leadership, and they move around preaching leadership, preaching motivational speaking and different areas of practice. But there's a disconnect, there's a mismatch if we look at what is happening on the ground. So as the Organization Leadership and Development Network members, we need to make an impact in our different areas of practice and ensure that when we say we have made an impact, we really made an impact. And we are not just looking for the social media influence, the show business that a lot of these socialites do on social media. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Our next session will be hosted by Dr. Chijioke and he'll be talking about strategies to deal with corporate insolvency post-COVID-19. That will be on the 25th of this month, which is next week, Saturday. Thank you once again, and hope to see you again in our next conversations. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.